The Wise Bites is what you should eat. So I do, before lockdown, I was doing workshops. I was going out to community groups and schools and just teaching people basic cookery and working in schools. And I work with children with autism, and I was working in like older people's groups and schools and that. So when lockdown came, I just started doing online workshops. So I've that's where I am at the moment. So it's great to see everybody on. I recognise a few faces from previous workshops. So tonight we're doing a 6-week program, and all the recipes are really, really healthy, handy recipes that will suit all your family. A lot of my recipes are all dumbed down. I don't mean that to be to insult anyone, but I just make everything really, really simple and easy, and the recipes are easy to follow. And the ingredients are all ingredients that you can get in your local shop, well, most of them. And a lot of the ingredients I use, you'll see repeated throughout the program. So if you are cooking along, you're not going to spend a fortune on ingredients. So, you know, stuff like the herbs and spices that I use, we'll be using them again. So if you buy them for the first week, then we'll use them throughout the 6-week program, okay? So tonight, the first thing we're going to do is homemade, I'm going to show you how to make homemade burgers. Now these burgers have vegetables in them. Now if you don't like vegetables, you don't have to put them in. But it's a good way of getting, especially if you have young children that are not really fond of their vegetables, it's a good way of getting them to eat and get some veg in their diet, okay? And adults as well, because I know some of us are not very good at getting our vegetables into our diet. So so this recipe, I don't know if you all maybe have, you all have the recipes, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is, we're going to do potato wedges. Can you admit Bridget in the chat there? I can do it as well. Hold on. Oh, maybe you don't know. So I'm going to use this this dish here for the potatoes. Okay, so we're going to do roasted potatoes or roasted wedges as well. And I'm going to just heat up this dish in the oven. Okay, so I'm just going to stick it in. And just get it nice and hot, okay? So I've already prepared and peeled my potatoes, okay? So if you're just going to do that now, you want to peel and wash. I have 4 large potatoes here, but if you want to do 4 or 6, that's okay. All right. Now, if you're going to do these, some of you are cooking for tomorrow. You can do this and you can marinate them, put them in the fridge with the oil and put them with cling film, cover them with cling film and stick them in your fridge. So tomorrow when you heat up your tray, you can just take them out of the bowl and cook them on a hot tray and with oil and put them into the oven, okay? So I'm just going to dry them. So to make these wedges, you know the way everyone loves chips. I know we love chips in our house, but these are like a healthier version. So you can wash them and leave the skin on if you like, okay? So I'm just going to dry them. I've already washed and dried them. I'm going to dry them again because you want them to be nice and crunchy. All right, so you want them to have a nice crunch. And in this bowl here, I'm going to throw them into this bowl. I'm just going to dry the bowl actually because there's a wee bit of water in it. Now, if you want to do garlic potatoes, if you want to make these garlic, you know, you can put fresh garlic or garlic salt in the oil as well, okay? So just get your potatoes. And we'll cut them down in half lengthways. I'm just going to make wedges, so I'm just going to put them into the bowl, okay? So when they're dry, then you have a better chance of them being nice and crunchy. If they're wet, then they'll just be soggy. So now if you want to spice these up a little bit, you can also put in some paprika, smoked paprika or Chinese spice, any spices you have in your cupboard. If you want to make them spicy wedges, go ahead and add spices. But this is just, I'm just going to show you kind of the basic.
Joanna, is there a particular potato you used, or have you already said that?
You know what, they're just, they're Maris Pipers. Right. They're ones I buy in Cookstown. You know the ones in the big bags, I buy them on a Saturday. I think these ones are Maris Piper ones. So, so dry spuds, yeah, dry spuds are good for it, you know.
Yeah.
Because they'll be nice and fluffy inside. They're crunchy on the outside and then they're like fluffy inside. So I'm going to put in some some salt, and some black pepper. Now in the recipe, now I'm really, really bad because when I cook, I used to be a chef, so a lot of my recipes are in my head, okay? So when I write them down, I'm not very good at following the recipe because I kind of just go with what's in my head. So apologies about that if you think I'm doing something wrong. It's just because I'm used to doing it without looking at a recipe, you know. So, but I'll try and follow the recipe. Yeah. So this is olive oil. So I'm just using olive oil. You can use sunflower oil or rapeseed oil, okay? If you have. And then I'm just going to give it up. Now I'm going to put a little bit of garlic in these, so I'm just going to use garlic granules. I'm just going to put them in, sprinkle them. All right. So if you're using your spices, you want to make them a little bit spicier, add it in now with the oil, okay? And then just mix it around with your spoon. So instead of deep frying them, you know, if you were doing them in a deep fat fryer, they absorb more fat and it's more like lightly saturated fat, so it's not very good for you. So that's the healthier way. So I'm just going to grab my dish. So the dish is nice and hot, and because we have oil on these, you don't need to add oil. And just spread them out, okay? Spread them out like that. And then what we'll do is during this, we'll let them cook for about 15-20 minutes, and we'll turn them over again. So if you put your oven on at 180 degrees, okay, 180 degrees should give them a nice crunch.
Yeah, Joanne and Patricia just asked that question in the chat. What temperature is the dish cooked at? So you said 180?
I meant to say to put your oven on.
All right.
Put your oven on before.
But it's 180 degrees, yeah.
I'm just going to put this over here. Give me 2 seconds. Let's dry it in a bowl. So I just keep a bowl beside me then. Somebody else is asking. Yeah. Just keep a bowl beside you for you know, for your rubbish. Okay. So the next thing then we're going to do. How's everybody getting on? Has everybody got theirs in? Let me see. Yeah. Thumbs up if you have it in the oven and you're ready to go. The next, give me a thumbs up. Okay.
I'm not doing the wedges. I'm just doing the burgers tonight, and then I'll do the wedges tomorrow.
That's grand. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do then is for the burgers, I use peppers. Okay. So for this recipe, I'm using 2 peppers, and I'm going to use a large onion as well. So I'm going to fry them off. I'm going to chop them up nice and small, and then I'm going to gently fry them and let them cool down. Because when you add them to the meat, you don't want them to be too hot because you want to be able to handle it. So we'll do this job first. So whenever you're doing your peppers, if you just push the top down like that and open it up, okay, and get all your seeds out. It's handy to have a wee bowl beside you, okay. So just push that down and just get rid of all your seeds, okay. I'm going to chop these up finely because you don't want really, really big lumps in your burgers, okay? So I'm just going to get my other knife here. Give me a second. So when you're doing your peppers, just cut them up nice and small. So what I do is, if you just want to trim off all them wee bits, the wee white bits, just trim them off, and then cut them into thin strips. All right, and then we're going to cut them into like tiny little squares, okay? And you don't want them too big. All right, and then I have a bowl here. I'm going to throw, no, sorry, I'm not going to put them in the bowl. I'll put them in the pot. So if you get a wee pot and put them into your pot, and then we'll start cooking them when we add the onion, okay? So just move that out of the road. Can everyone see what I'm doing? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. If anybody wants to unmute themselves, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Ask me any questions now. So I'm just going to put them into this pot here, and then we'll heat it up and add the onion. So just cut them nice and thin. Now another thing you can add to these, which is really nice, instead of apple, is apricot. Dried apricots chopped up are really, really nice in it as well. So you can try that. And you don't, as I said, you don't have to put the fruit in them, but it does give it a nice texture. It is, and a nice flavour.
Joanna, see, Bridget's asked, how long do you cook the wedges for?
We're going to cook them for about 4 to 5 minutes altogether. So I'm going to put them in. I have them in now for about 20 minutes, and I'm going to turn them over. All right. So I have the timer set there to remind me.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, just Bridget saying thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So we'll just put the peppers in now. All right. Has anyone ever done a cook-along before, a live one?
I think Louise did it for we had some cooking class before Christmas. And
Oh,
Louise,
yeah, right.
cooking along every week, weren't you, Louise?
Yeah, we did it with Sharon. Yeah, it was good. I'm a bit more prepared this evening, so I have a few things chopped up in advance because it's a bit pressurized when you're trying to keep up.
Yeah, good. I don't get cross, which is. So see with an onion, okay, I'll just show you this. I'll show you this one here. So if you look at your onion, that's the bit that comes out of the ground, okay, and that's your root. So I always try and keep the root intact, and then it keeps your onion together when you're cutting it, and it also stops you from crying. So I'm going to show you with the big onion. So just cut it down, all right, and then put it down flat, and cut off the top of it, okay. Be very careful when you're doing this, because it's your knife's sharp, and then just peel off the layers of skin. Now you probably know how to do this, but I'll just show you for anyone that doesn't really know. So just peel it off. Okay. Now, so if you keep this part, as I was saying, that's the root. If you keep that intact and run your knife along the lines, okay, don't cut into the root. Just cut down like that, and then cut halfway through, and then you just bring your knife down like that, and then it's nice and fine. So you want it to be nice and fine for the burgers. You don't want them to be too chunky. All right.
And you don't cry with that?
No.
I never knew that now. So you have to keep the root in it when you're cutting, and you won't cry.
It will make you cry. Now, I have to say, sometimes if it's a really, really strong onion, it will make you cry, so I can't guarantee it, but most of the time it doesn't. But if you cut into the root, you'll notice you'll start to cry.
I must try that. That's a good tip.
And also, you know, when you're cutting an onion, people always have they cut it in different, it goes everywhere, and then the layers all fall apart. At least that way your layers all stay together. And you just use your hand, kind of keep it together whenever you're cutting, So, and then just with the end of it, just trim it nice and fine. Okay, so I'm just going to put these in here. So I'm just going to fry these off in a little bit of oil. And just do it on a medium heat, okay? So I have a wee cooker here. I'm just going to bring this over here. And I just move these out of the road. Now, my good old camping stove comes in handy. So just keep it down, kind of on a medium heat, okay? And then I'm going to add some olive oil as well, or whatever oil you're using, if you're using rapeseed or sunflower. Just a dollop of it, okay? A little bit of salt and pepper as well. Pepper. I've lost the pepper. I'm sure it'll turn up somewhere. So we'll just give it a wee stir, okay? Now you can turn up your gas or your heat high just to get a kick start. All right. And we'll just let it cook away for a few minutes. Now I usually put a lid on it and then it creates a bit of steam and it keeps the color, it doesn't go brown, you know. So you want to just keep it nice and like translucent. We'll just put that on it for a wee minute and let it simmer away, okay? Now, oh there, I found me black pepper. I'll just put a bit of black pepper in it as well, okay? Yeah. So we'll just let that simmer for a few minutes. So the next thing then I have for the burgers is I'm going to use this mince here. So I'm just going to move that over there a little bit. So I'm using, this is 5%. This is mince from Lidl. And it's 5%. So there's not very much fat in it, okay? But you don't want them to be too greasy. So I'm using 2 packets because I'm going to just maybe keep some for tomorrow as well. So whenever you're handling raw meat, be very careful, okay? Because once you handle it, make sure you wash your hands. I'm sure you know that anyway. Just make sure you wash your hands really well, and try not to touch anything else after you touch the meat. Okay. So in here, I have some breadcrumbs. Okay. Where's my breadcrumbs? Okay. So here I have some breadcrumbs. So if you don't have any breadcrumbs there, just get a couple of slices of bread and grate them and put them in. And if you haven't got breadcrumbs, you can use a bit of flour. A handful of flour will do, okay? It's really just to bind it together whenever you put the egg, and then you'll have the juices from the vegetables. So you want something to soak up the juice that comes from the meat and all, you know? So now if you want to boil your kettle there, and we're going to dissolve a stock cube. So I always put like a stock cube into most of the things I make, because it gives it a really nice flavor. So you'll see in a lot of the recipes we'll be using stock cubes. So it's a good cupboard ingredient is to always have stock cubes in your cupboard, okay? Because they give it such a difference to the taste and the flavor of a lot of your dishes that we're going to make over the next 6 weeks, okay? So just get a wee mug, and I'm just going to stick my kettle on here. My mine's nearly boiled. So we're just going to dissolve the stock cube, okay? We're not going to add too much water. It's just to give hot water just so it dissolves, because you don't want to make the mixture too wet. Okay, so the next thing then I have is I'm going to grate an apple, okay? So I'm just going to watch this knife on board. Give me 2 seconds. Now just keep an eye on your onions and your peppers that it's not burning too much. So mine's nicely fried. I'm going to turn it down a wee bit, okay? So it'll just simmer away now for just till it's all soft, and then we'll let it cool down before we add it to the burgers, okay? So now if you get an apple, I think it's 1 apple in the recipe, just let me check. 1 large apple or 2 small apples. All right. Yeah, it's a Granny Smith apple. Any apple will do. It doesn't really matter. It's a good way of using up apples in your fruit bowl that are going a little bit bad. So I have 2 apples here, and I'm just going to peel them. I'll just peel them like this.
Sorry, is a cooking apple okay?
Yeah, you can use a cooking apple. Yeah. I'm just going to peel it. Now, as I was saying, you can use apricots instead of apples if you haven't got any apples. And you dried apricots in the cupboard, you know, they're really nice. They give a nice sweetness to it. So I just grate the apples. Once I peel them, these apples are quite small, so I'm putting in 2. All right. How's everybody getting on?
Yep.
Good. That's great. So just make sure you have a lid on your onions and your peppers. and it's down like a low heat because you don't want it to burn. Because then you'll be picking out little black bits out of your burger, you know. So now, so I'm just going to grate the apple into this bowl here. Just watch your fingers if you're grating. So it's a bit like pork and apple burgers. You know, you can do the same thing with pork mince. If you want to make pork and apple burgers, then you could put in a little bit of sage as well, you know, to give it that nice, like, herby flavor. Yeah. So whenever you've done that, if you want to get yourself a tray, so I have a tray here, and I put grease-proof paper on it. But if you want to put tin foil on your tray, you can do that as well. All right. Just saving on the washing up. Anything for an easy life. Now, anyone that's not going to cook their burgers tonight, then what you can do is do the same. Get a tray of grease-proof paper. When you make the burgers, spread them out and cover them with cling film and put them into your fridge. Okay, or you can put them into your freezer if you're not going to use them tomorrow.
Joanna, Patricia's asked here in the chat, must it be a cooking apple?
No, it doesn't matter. Any apple can do. It doesn't matter. You can use any apple. It says in the recipe Granny Smith apple, but it doesn't matter, or a Bramley apple. It doesn't really make any difference. Okay. So we're going to put more salt and pepper, not too much salt. So we're trying to go easy on the salt. Okay. Now I'm going to add a little bit of boiling water from the kettle into this, just a wee bit, just to cover it. Right, and then that will just give it. This just gives the mince a little bit more flavor. Now, if you want to use low sodium stock cubes, you know, the ones that haven't got as much salt in it, you can get them as well in Tesco's or Asda, or a lot of places just do the low sodium ones. Okay. So we're just going to let that simmer there, just let it sit, and then it'll dissolve. Now, what else have I got in the recipe? So, so we've the mince, the onion, the pepper, the vegetable oil, and then so we're going to put some mixed herbs. So I'm going to turn this off now because that's ready. That's already cooked. So I'm going to turn that off. All right. Somebody coming in the back door. So I'm just going to add a little bit of mixed herbs. Sorry. So if you have any mixed herbs, if you have like sage or rosemary or thyme, parsley, just put a sprinkle of it in just to give it a nice wee flavor. Okay. I'm just going to add a little bit of garlic as well, just a little bit of garlic salt, just to give it a nice flavor. Okay. Now we're going to take the lid off that and let that cool down a wee bit, because you don't want to burn your hands when you're making the burgers. All right. So I'll just let that sit down for 2 minutes, and I'm finished with this, so I'm going to move it. Now that's halfway through for the wedges, okay? So I'm going to just turn them over. Just be careful. Turn over your wedges. Just make sure that they're coated in the oil, because you want them to be nice and crunchy. All right. And just turn them over. Just to make sure that you coat them in oil on both sides. That's it done. All right. Now I'm just going to stick this back in. Just going to move this because my son. Has anybody else turned over their wedges yet? Maybe they're not ready. Mine went in probably before yours.
I think some of them aren't doing the wedges till tomorrow.
Well, yeah, some aren't doing them yet. That's fine. So then with this, I'm going to add the stock cube in here, okay? So that'll just dissolve. That will just disintegrate. and then we'll put some of the peppers in. Just be really careful when we go to mix them that they're not too hot on your hands, okay? So we'll just pour it in. Okay, so I'll use a wooden spoon to mix them, but you can use your hands, okay? So I'm just going to put these over in the sink, just put them out of the road. All right. So whenever you're cooking, it's good to have a wee cloth beside you and tidy up as you go along. And then if you just want to get your wooden spoon, you have a wooden spoon or a good sturdy metal spoon, give this a good mix. All right. If you find it still a bit wet, you can add more of the breadcrumbs, or you can add, now, oh, sorry, I also have to put an egg in it as well. So I'm just putting one egg in, okay? So what the egg does, it binds it together, all right? Yeah. Just give it all a good mix. Now, if you're making these again, do your peppers on your onions earlier on, let them go cold, you know. It makes more sense, and have them, you know, nice and cold, put them in so they're not too hot. Okay. So some people just use the yolk of an egg, but I just throw the whole lot in. It just binds it anyway. Now I'm going to add a little bit more crumbs because I think it needs to be, I think I need a bit more. On the recipe it says 25 grams, but I'd say I'd put in about 35 because just to get it to stick together, okay? You don't want them falling apart. Then I just turn off the top here. All right. Now on the recipes that I gave you, I didn't put down any dips, but I'm going to show you a nice burger relish dip to go with it. So if you get a chance, grab a pen. Whenever the burgers are cooking, I'll show you how to make it, and you can write down the recipe for the burger relish. So, right, so that's the mix now. I'm just going to put a little bit more seasoning in it, okay? A bit of black pepper.
Sorry, can you show us a close-up of your consistency there, just to see how?
Yep.
It's quite dry. Okay.
Quite dry. Let me see.
I think I'll add more breadcrumbs, maybe. I don't know whether you can.
Yeah, Diane, add a little bit more breadcrumbs if you have them.
I have, okay.
Yeah, you have, that's good. Louise, what's yours like?
I haven't put the, hold on. I haven't put the peppers and onions in just yet, right. So.
Yeah. Well, if you find it's too wet, just add a little bit more breadcrumbs or
okay.
Add a bit more flour, okay? Just, yeah. Mary, how are you getting on? Yeah, yours looks okay, Mary. You'll know when you're shaping them with your hands if they form into burgers. You'll know by the feel of them. If they're too wet and kind of slippy, you can add a bit more breadcrumbs into them.
I added flour because I hadn't enough breadcrumbs.
Yeah, you can use flour. Yeah, you can use flour.
Great,
or you can use cream crackers. Crushed up cream crackers. So, Jamie Oliver recipe. He used to use cream crackers in his. So it's just to bind it all together. So yeah, so I'm just going to check the recipe again. I have everything in. Yeah. So I have the mince, the onion, the pepper, the green pepper, the yellow pepper, the veg, the mixed herbs, the vegetable oil, the stock, breadcrumbs, and the apple and the egg. So I have everything in it. So that should be ready to go then. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you is I'm going to use the tray. Yeah, I just forgot I had a burger maker here. I don't know whether it works or not. It's one I got during lockdown, but there is a part of it missing, I think. Yeah. So this is one, I think I bought this in Tesco's. If somebody asks me a question, how much stock? Just one stock cube, Patricia, and just dissolve it in a wee tiny drop of water. You just want to dissolve it. You don't want to make it like a cup. You're not making a cup of stock. You're just dissolving it. So you need hot water to dissolve it. And what that does is it just gives it more flavor. Okay. So I have one of these burger makers. Okay. So I don't even know. I can't even remember how you use it. I think that's not the right way. If I remember it from lockdown, yeah. So what you do is, hold on. I made these during lockdown with the kids, but no, I'm not sure if I'm doing it right or not. I'll have to get me son. He was using them during lockdown for the barbecue, but it's really handy. What did I say? Yeah. There's a wee thing in there. I don't know whether that should, I'll try one and see. Okay, so I'm just going to just put one in there. So this makes really nice burgers for the barbecue. And then you just twist it. And then you pop them out like that. No, but you know what? I've done it wrong because that's for filling them up with cheese or something. So no, there must be another part. But anyway, they're easy enough to use whenever you get the hang of them, but I'm not going to use them. So I'm just going to use my hands. So if you just take like that size in your hand, like a ball, okay, and then just flatten them, okay, and then just go around like that. Now they're still a bit warm from the apples and the peppers, so just shake them in your hand like that. Now, what you are doing tonight, making them and then putting them in the fridge for tomorrow, they'll hold their shape better. So you'll find tomorrow they'll be good shape, and they'll they won't fall apart. These are just because it's so warm now with the onions and the peppers. So okay, so that's there. So I'm just going to make about 6, and then I'll show you. And the rest of it, so if you want to do these, it's a good way of freezing them, okay, is to put them in your freezer like on a flat tray, right? Put them into the freezer for about an hour and a half until they're frozen. Then you can take them out and you can stack them up in bags, and they're frozen so they won't stick together, So that's a good tip to do that. Now I'm going to flatten them down a little bit because I want them to cook quick. I want them to cook. So if you can leave them like quarter pounders, you can leave them bigger, and then you can have like, if you want to make a daddy burger or a baby burger, you can make them whatever size you want. Okay. I'm just going to make them and flatten them down a wee bit. All right. So there's 4. I'm going to do 2 more. And so I just served these with burger bath salad, lettuce, tomato. I might do some onion here if we have time. I'll do a little bit of fried onion rings, just maybe just fry them in a pan. They're really nice with it as well. You can serve them with bacon, whatever you like on your burgers. If you like gherkins and cheese, I'm going to use cheese as well. Okay, so mine are quite flat, if you can see them.
They look good.
So I'm going to stick these in the oven now. I'm just going to wash my hands first. Just be careful after you've touched raw meat. And then I'm just going to stick them in the oven. So they should take about 15 minutes just because of the size of them, because I flatten them. But if they're a bit thicker, you want to leave them, they'll probably take 15 to 20 minutes, okay? So I'm just going to put this in the fridge. I'm not going to cook it all, okay? remember when you have raw meat, always keep it on the bottom of your fridge, you know, on the bottom shelf, just in case, you know, juices from the meats go on top of all your other foods. But I'm sure you know that anyway, but just wee tips. I know whenever we bring the shopping home, my boys will just put everything into the fridge. No matter how many times you tell them, they just stick everything in, and then you have to rearrange it. So I'm just going to keep that in the fridge. And I'll make some more burgers later on. So it's like if you have time someday and you have like kids are all away or they're watching videos and you've loads of mince, you can make a big batch of these. And as I was saying, put them in your freezer, let them freeze, and then stack them up into wee bags. You can have them in your freezer, and then just take them out when you need them and defrost them. And because you have your vegetables and all in them, you kind of know your kids are getting a little bit of. You're not just getting a burger like from the chippy. You know, you're getting a burger that has some vegetables and, you know, vitamins and nutrients in them. So I'm just going to put this in the fridge. So how's everyone getting on? How's everyone getting on now? Let me see. Yeah, good. Is there anybody cooking their burger tonight? No.
No, I'm going to put mine in the fridge. Well, I've put mine in 2 oven trays with tin foil below. Will I just put another layer of tin foil above it to keep them from drying out then?
Yeah, put a bit of cling film over it, yeah. If you're going to put it in the fridge, just make sure you cover it with cling film or tin foil, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, and then just wash down everything. Make sure that there's no raw meat. You haven't, once you've washed your hands, you know that you haven't touched anything that has raw meat on it, okay? I'm just going to wash this cloth again, rinse it out. So I'll just grab a seat here for a minute, and I'm just going to dry this island. So the next thing that we're going to do, I'm just going to grab cheese as well. I'm going to use like sliced cheese, if I can find it. Now with the burgers tomorrow, if you're going to cook them, you can do them in the pan. You know, there's nothing to say you can fry them in the pan. Just use a little bit of oil and just keep them on a medium heat. You don't want them to burn on either side, and do them for like 8 minutes on each side. You know, it depends on the thickness, and when you'll know when you cut into it if it's kind of pink in the middle, then just keep cooking it, because a lot of people now with steak burgers. I know we were at a barbecue a few years ago, and they were having steak burgers, but they were eating them rare, you know, like a steak. But the thing about mince is because it's being put in a machine and it's being processed, so there's more chance of bacteria getting on it. You know, it's not like when you have a steak and you're eating a steak rare, they're just cutting it off the joint, slicing it and putting it on the pan. So there's not much contamination, you know, that way. So if you're buying mince, there's more chance of contamination. So that's why I don't recommend that you don't eat rare or, you know, medium to rare burgers, because of the mince. So just to make you aware of that, just to be careful. There's a lot of people get food poisoning and they don't realize, you know, that they're getting it from their own houses and from poor hygiene and, you know, touching raw food and then going over to the tap and turning on the tap, you know. So always, if you touch it, wash your hands immediately and don't try not to touch anything else, because someone else will come in after you and then they'll touch it, you know. So just to be aware of that. So I'm using a little bit of this cheddar cheese as well. I'm going to put this on the burgers and a bit of lettuce. Okay. So what I was going to say to you, I was going to just fry a couple of onions as well. So I'm just going to cut them like this. All right. So I'm going to cut the core, and I'm just going to peel it. All right. I like cooked onions with a burger rather than raw onions, you know. So I'll just grab this back again. And I'll just grab the frying pan, and I'll stick the frying pan on our wee pot here. I'll just do it in a wee pot. I have a wee pot here somewhere. So if you're doing, I'll just move all this. If you're doing onions for your burgers, if you're frying them on the pan, you can add onion rings into the pan and fry them along. So I'm just cutting them not too thick, just really so they don't break up on you, you know, that way. Just be careful when you're cutting down through it. And then I'm just going to break them up, and I'm going to fry them in the pan. So burgers are lovely, you know, with cooked onions, I think, rather than raw onions. So, but if you're frying them in the pan, if you're doing them in the burgers in the pan, it is nice to have the, you know, the juice from the burgers frying in the onion, you know, the juice together. I'm just going to use a little bit of oil. So a lot of my cooking, I don't have a deep fat fryer here. I never had a deep fat fryer, but I use like trays, and I always oven bake like chips and all that, you know, so I don't really use a lot of oil in cooking. So I'm just going to put this in. So your pan's nice and hot, okay? And then we'll just let it fry in the oil, and I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. All right, and then just let it cook away. So you want to kind of brown. You want to get like a bit of color on the onions, but not so they're black, you know. So I have it up full just for a few minutes, and then I'll turn it down. Right. So I'm going to just put this over here because it's a bit noisy. So I'm going to let it cook away over here for a few minutes. I'm going to show you just a wee dip that will go, a nice wee dip to go with the burger, okay? So when I'm doing burgers as well, I will try and use wholemeal. A lot of the recipes you'll see over the next few weeks, I try and use like wholemeal food, wholemeal pasta and rice. You know, just because a lot of people use white bread and white pasta, and they say like it doesn't agree with them, and like they say gluten doesn't agree with them, but it's really like white bread and all is like processed, really processed, and it doesn't. With the way they process it, it's like mass produced. So whenever you eat it, it's kind of like it sticks in you. So I try and use like whole grain bread, whole grain pasta and rice and tortillas and that, you know. So if you just make a wee switch, even with your family, they'll not know any difference, okay? Now I bought these as well. These are like bundies. So these are like wee brown ones. And then I'll do these ones for, these are like the burger ones, but I always toast them, okay? So I just toast them for, it makes, if you toast them, it seals the juice from your burger, you know, with the toast on it. It makes them a little bit hard, so it stops the juices going into your back and making it soggy. So, so a good thing is to toast it, okay? So I'm just going to grab a wee. So now I'm just going to toast my backs on this here. So this is my toaster. So I'm just going to toast them and get them ready. And then just get everything sitting ready, and then you're ready to go. Now I'm just going to put a lid on the onions now. So I have a lid on the onions, and then what happens is that'll sweat the onions down, and it'll create like steam. and it stops it going brown, okay? So we'll just leave that there. So then for the burger then I'm going to put some tomatoes on it, okay? So we'll just do nice big slices of tomato. Now you don't have to put this on. It's only it's just a suggestion. You can use your own, do your own whatever you want. I know some people don't like it. Put pineapple on it if you like, jalapenos. What else? Jalapenos, gherkins, a different type of cheese. There's loads of different things you can do. All right. So we'll just put the tomatoes in there, and then I just throw them wee bits out. And then we're going to put lettuce on it as well. Yeah. So the burgers are all ready, and then we'll just get them. So I'm just going to check on these, the wedges. I just want to check the wedges because they should be nearly ready. So, can you see the wedges there?
Yep.
Like they're golden brown. I'm just going to give them one more shake in the oil and then put them back in. All right. Now they're really nice on their own, just with like a wee dip or a nice salad, just wee homemade wedges. And if you want to keep the skin on as well, the skin will have more fiber in them, so you can keep the skin on if you're trying to increase your fiber, or you're trying to get, if your children are constipated, or there's a good way to get.
It tastes better with the skins on usually.
Yeah. So yeah, but no, I like them like that because they kind of they remind me of just chips,
Yeah.
But the skin is nice on them. So I'm just going to put them back in for a few more minutes. And I'm going to turn the burgers over. All right. So I'm just going to turn them over just a wee bit. All right. And then let them brown on the other side. All right. Now I was saying to you about the water. You see the way there's not much fat on these burgers, but there's quite a bit of water coming out from the vegetables. So I'm just going to drain a wee bit. And then just let them cook for another few minutes. All right. Now, we'll just do some burgers. These will be eaten in no time in my house. So I'll just do 3. So what I do then is I have some lettuce here. I'm just going to use, oh no, I never made the dip. Sorry. I'm going to make the dip. So I'm going to keep them over there. And the onions should be ready now. All right. Now I'm just going to put the onions into a wee bowl. The onions are ready. Yeah. So there's the fried onions. They're a little bit black because I have it up too high, but they're okay. They're not too bad. So I'll just leave them sitting there. Let them cool down a wee bit. So we have our cheese and our tomatoes. Now for this wee sauce, I was going to just show you just a wee. It's just like a dip that you would get in when you go to McDonald's. I can't say the word, but it's kind of similar. So we're just going to use a little bit of mayonnaise, okay? So for the recipe, if you want to write this down, okay? So 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. Try and use low-fat mayonnaise if you can. Then I'm using ketchup, so I'm using 1 teaspoon of ketchup. All right. Then I use so for the relish, I didn't have any burger relish, so I'm going to use a little bit of this. It's like chutney, so I'm just going to use a little bit of that. All right. So it'll just give it a nice kick. A bit of, sorry, I forgot to put out the vinegar. Give me 2 seconds. Where's my vinegar? So just white vinegar. So a teaspoon of white vinegar. All right. Teaspoon of white vinegar and some pepper and some salt. Okay, so that's like a nice wee dip, and it's a nice wee dip for the wedges, and it's a nice wee sauce for the burgers. All right. So I'm just going to add a little bit more mayonnaise to it. Okay. Now, if your kids just they don't want the relish or anything in it, just use mayonnaise and red sauce. You get like a wee Mary Rose sauce as well. So you could do that.
Sorry, what was the chutney that you put into it? Or was it relish you put in? What, I can't remember what you said.
Joanna, your video is frozen. Louise, it was chutney she put into it.
You don't know what sort of chutney was it?
I don't know. Joanna, if you can hear me, your video is frozen. Or is it just me saying that? Can you?
No, it's frozen.
I don't know why Joanna can hear me, but I don't know what's happened. She had a wee bit of ball at the start, all right.
I think the internet's given a lot of bother.
Yeah, I think it has.
I know around here it's bad.
Maybe she's logged out and she's going to log in again, probably. See. Let me just see. Yeah. Because everybody's at home now, everybody's on the internet, so.
That's right.
Yeah. Joanna, can you hear us? Oh, you're back. Joanna, your lips are moving, but we can't hear you.
Hello, son.
Hello.
Hello.
He must be the tech expert.
There's one in every house.
Yeah, usually the young ones too.
Yeah, I know.
The burgers will be ready by the time she gets back anyway.
As long as they're not burned.
Hi.
Are you busy, Paula?
Ah, we're very busy. Have you joined any of the other classes, Bridget?
No, I haven't.
Did you get me the e-zine I sent out today?
Did I get what?
Or wee newsletter that I sent out?
I did. I didn't.
A few things. Sorry, we've got the container gardening starting next week.
Oh, right.
Then we've got this cookery next week as well. We'll have a cookery
Well,
next 5 weeks.
I'll be interested in that.
Yeah, just take a wee look on the Eventbrite. It'll give you a link in the e-zine.
Yeah.
And you'll be able
It's
to
just
see.
that I was doing a thing with the junction
Oh, great.
on partition.
Oh,
And
very good.
watching that in the afternoon today.
Yeah.
That's,
Patricia has asked me there, did the coffee morning go this morning? Patricia, the coffee morning went, but we didn't have a big turnout now, but we don't mind. I mean, people can turn up every week. They don't have to put their video on. They can talk if they want. It's just an informal thing on a Tuesday morning, so.
right, I've never joined that now.
You should try it, Bridget. We just chit chat about anything over a cup of coffee. So there's a wee link in the e-zine as well for that. So, or in the newsletter. So for right, Joanna seems to be back on again. Well, hold on.
Sometimes I forget.
Yeah.
I would need somebody reminding me.
Well, I can remind you now, Bridget. On Monday.
Yeah. Right. That'll be grand. Thank you.
Right, Joanne, you are on.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Can you see me?
Nope.
No.
No, you can't see me. Hold on a second.
On your video.
My video. Can you see now?
Nope.
Nope.
I don't know why that is. Great sound.
Hold on. Right, I forgot, Joanne. You've two. Hold on, I'm gonna do you now. All right. I can see your son at the trying to eat the burgers.
That's grand. That's us. We're back on. No, what happened? I have to charge my phone, and the lead came out of it, and I didn't notice, and that's why the phone just went.
No worries.
I couldn't get in contact with you on the laptop, but anyway, we're back. You'll get to see the end of the burgers. Where was I? I'm going to check the burgers actually.
I'll try and chop that bit out of the video before I put it up, if I can.
So the wedges are ready, and I'm just going to leave the burgers for another 2 minutes. So if you put your sauce on the bottom of your burger, okay? And then we get some lettuce. You always put the lettuce on the bottom. Make it nice and fancy, okay? So if you leave the lettuce whole, okay, leave the lettuce so it sticks out the side of your burger, okay? And then you can put in some of your tomatoes and put a little bit of black pepper, just a wee bit, okay? Now the burgers are ready. I'm just going to take them out here. So how you know when your burger's ready? Can you see them there?
Yeah, they look
Yes,
great.
they look lovely.
Yeah, now you can fry them. You can fry them in the pan if you want, but it's so handy because you can just make them and put them in, you know. So I'm just going to check. So if you use a knife and fork, look for the biggest one and cut it down the middle. Yeah, that's nice. There's no juice or anything coming out of it, so you know they're ready. Okay. So I'll just do 2 burgers and show you. Okay, and then I have some. Where is my onions? And a really red bowl of onions, and here they are here. So if you put a few of your fried onions on as well, okay? So see the way they're nice and soft because I put the lid on them, and they're nice and soft. So and they're cooked, you know, they're cooked right through, and they smell lovely actually. So then I'm going to put my burger on, okay? Now, if you want to add a slice of cheese to this before they're cooked, you can, okay? And leave them in the oven with a slice of cheese over them, and the cheese will melt. So I'm using, this is cheddar cheese, sliced cheddar cheese, but you don't have to use that. You can use, the easy singles if you like them. And then just put this on top. All right. And then we have our burger baps on top of them. All right. So if you can see there.
They look great.
They look great.
I bet
Lovely,
you
don't
they're great.
Yeah, they look lovely. So I'm going to take one off and leave that there.
Joanne, can I check what was the chutney you added to your little sauce?
It's just tomato chutney, but usually you would use, like, the way you can buy the relish for your burgers. You can buy like jars of tomato relish if you use tomato relish, but I just use chutney. It's all right. It tastes okay. Now there's jalapenos if you want to put jalapenos on it as well. And crispy, like streaky bacon is lovely as well. So you can put that on it as well with it, and it's delicious. Now, I'm just going to grab the wedges. So these are lovely and they're nice and crunchy. All right. So there's the wedges. Okay, so they turned out really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can use a wee dish at the side to put your dip in, and the wedges are lovely dipped in this. Now over the next few weeks we'll be making, we'll be doing like different types of dips, like low-fat, healthy dips. I use Greek yogurt is great. If you have Greek yogurt in your fridge, it's really good for making loads of different things, loads of different dips. It's very versatile. Okay, so we'll just put a wee bit of tomato on that there. And there you are. So I'll just move this out of the road. I'll just put that over there. And I'll show you. Yeah. So can you see that there?
Looks delicious.
Looks
So
lovely.
give you a taste.
Lovely.
Try it for you. But yeah, so that's how easy it is, and it's low fat. Like the meat is 5% fat, so if you think about if you went, to a takeaway and you bought a burger, it's like on the chips, how much fat and how many calories are in them. That's like a really low fat dinner, and it's healthy because you have a little bit of vegetables in it. And if you have sweet corn or anything like a nice salad at the side, would be lovely as well. Okay, so sorry about the blip. I can't believe that happened.
Don't worry
Because
about it.
the wire just must have slipped out and just fell down, because I always keep an eye on the wire, but I just forgot about it tonight. So, but anyway, so thanks everyone for watching. Has anybody got any questions that they want to ask me?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Louise.
Sorry, you see when you freeze the burgers, do you always defrost them or can you cook them from frozen?
Yeah, I always defrost them, Louise.
Okay, that's all right.
Just if you keep them in your fridge the night before, they should defrost overnight in your fridge. If you can remember before you go to bed to take them out. All right. And if you're stacking them, if you're putting them in your fridge and you're stacking them, use like wee squares of greaseproof paper in between each burger when they're frozen. So whenever they defrost, you just peel it back and then they're not stuck together. I meant to say that too. All right. So, so is anybody else? Is everybody okay?
Yeah. What are you cooking next week, Joanna? Just remind us.
Next week I think we're doing, I'll tell you now, we're doing fajitas, as far as I know.
Great.
I'll just tell you because I have a group on a Monday night and we started yesterday. So yeah, we're doing chicken fajitas. Yeah.
Lovely.
So fajitas, and we'll be doing some dips as well. I'll be showing you some different dips as well to do, because the dips are great because, see for the likes of that, like you can have that with your dip and it's low fat. There's loads of different things you can use the dips for. So for the next few weeks we'll be, if you look at the ingredients, they're kind of, they repeat themselves. So one thing I would say to you if you're going shopping this week is to stock up on like the likes of basil and oregano, just garlic, easy garlic. You don't need to buy the whole cloves, but if you use them, that's fine. But you can use easy garlic, easy chili, different types of herbs and spices. if you look through your recipe book, you'll see kind of a pattern. So you could like pick out your dry, your store cupboard ingredients and just have them in the house for, because the way the lockdown is going, sometimes it's hard to get out if you're running out of something. It's hard to just go and get one thing. So if you can look at your menus for the next few weeks and have the stuff in your cupboard or put it in your freezer, like the things like wraps and stuff that we're doing. What else are we doing? We're doing chicken goujons. Even if you have chicken fillets, and stick them in your freezer, and then you'll have them on more breadcrumbs. See the bags of breadcrumbs? You can buy them in Lidl or in Tesco's, or make your own with old bread, and just keep them in the freezer. So because we'll use them a lot as well. So if you look through your recipes over the next couple of days and kind of start planning, you'll find buy stuff that has long dates as well. Like see the Greek yogurt, you get like 2 weeks. If we're not using it, you can buy it this week and use it next week. So there's a lot of things that you can.
That's good advice, Joanna. Just to remind you all, this video I'm recording it, so I'll be putting it up on our YouTube channel, and Anne-Marie will send you out the link tomorrow or the next day or whatever. So
you make the bleep in the middle.
Yeah, well, I might. I'm not. My editing skills aren't great, but I might try and get that bit out.
Yeah. I hope there's no bad language.
But thank you very much, Joanna. That was very interesting, and food looks great. So, and thank you all for coming. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Colin. Okay. Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you.
Can I ask you? My page is Wise Bites, so if you do any cooking and you're using any of the recipes, can you just maybe stick a photograph or tag me in it?
Yeah, good idea. You can send it through to Anne-Marie even, or myself, if you take a picture of what you've cooked, or even straight onto Joanna's Wise Bites. Or if we get it, we'll send it to you, Joanna.
Send it to me. Yeah, that'll be brilliant. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, bye.
Bye.
Bye.